Hi, today we're going to talk about the distributive property. I love the distributive property. My students started calling it the rainbows, and you'll see why after today's lesson. So let's do an example. Let's say I had 2 times the quantity, and notice the quantity means parentheses, x plus 8. Well, there's another way in algebra to write that. I want you to use your red and circle the 2. And remember, when the 2 is right next to the parentheses and there's nothing in between, that means multiply. So I want you to circle the 2 and draw a rainbow to the x and draw another rainbow to the 8. And now we're going to multiply the 2. So we have 2 times x, and then copy that plus sign, and then grab the 2 and do it again. 2 times 8 right here. And now we simplify as much as we can. So 2 times x in algebra we write as 2x, and then copy that plus sign, and then 2 times 8, of course, is 16. Now this is really important that you know when to stop. I want you to notice something. See how the 2 has an x on it and the 16 does not? Well, 2 x's plus 16, that's as far as you can go. If they don't match, you can't add them. Now if the 16 had an x, we could add it. 2x plus 16x would make 18x, but it doesn't. And since it doesn't have an x, that's where you stop. So it'd be 2x plus 16, and that's as far as we could go. So look right here where it says the distributive property. So in words, you can multiply a number and a sum by multiplying the outside by each part of the inside, and then adding these products. So take a look in algebra. Let's say I had an a on the outside of the parentheses, and inside the parentheses I have b plus c. Well, I want you to circle the a and draw a rainbow to the b. That means a times b. And then copy that plus sign, and then circle the A and draw a rainbow to the C. That means A times C. Now take a look at the number example. Let's say I had 9 on the outside times the quantity 2 plus 6. We'll circle that 9 and draw a rainbow to the 2. That means 9 times 2. So notice how I wrote that there. And then I copied the plus sign and then grabbed the 9 and draw a rainbow to the 6. 9 times 6. Now in this case I can simplify. So 9 times 2 gives me 18, and I copy the plus, and 9 times 6 gives me 54. And of course 18 plus 54 would equal 72, and I would box my answer. Take a look, this also works with a minus sign in the parentheses. So watch, if I had A times the quantity B minus C, well I do the same thing. I circle the A and I draw a rainbow to the B. So that means A times B. And this time I'm going to copy the minus sign, and then I grab the A and I draw a rainbow to the C. A times C gives me AC. So take a look at the number example. 8 times the quantity, 7 minus 1. So grab the 8 and draw a rainbow to the 7. That gives you 8 times 7. And then copy that minus sign. And then grab the 8 and draw a rainbow to the 1. 8 times 1. And then you can simplify. 8 times 7 is 56. Copy the minus sign. 8 times 1 is 8. And then 56 minus 8, of course, is 48. All right, let's do example 2, letter A. So I have negative 4 times the quantity A plus 13. So grab the negative 4 and draw the rainbow. So you have negative 4 times A, copy that plus sign, and now grab the negative 4 and draw a rainbow to the 13. So you have negative 4 times 13. Now I'm going to simplify. Negative 4 times A gives me negative 4A, and then copy that plus sign. And negative 4 times 13 gives me negative 52. Now I can't go any farther because the negative 52 does not have an A. So box your answer. Okay, now example B, I want you to cross out and I want you to put our example. Let's do 3 times the quantity x minus 7. And so now let's grab the 3 and draw a rainbow to the x. That means 3x. And then copy that minus sign, and now grab the 3 and draw a rainbow to the 7, 3 times 7. So let's simplify. 3 times x gives us 3x. Copy that minus sign. And then 3 times 7 gives us 21. Now remember, the 21 does not have an x. So that's as far as we can go. If they don't match, you just box your answer. So it's 3x minus 21. Okay, let's try in the guided practice. We're going to do these together. So take a look at number 1. I have negative 3 times the quantity 8 plus 16. So grab your negative 3 and draw a rainbow to the 8. That gives us negative 3 times 8. And then draw your plus sign. You have to copy the addition sign. And then grab the negative 3 and draw a rainbow to the 16. So you have negative 3 times 16. So now you simplify. Negative 3 times 8 is negative 24. Draw the addition sign. And then negative 3 times 16 is negative 48. So negative 24 plus negative 48 gives you negative 72. Okay, take a look at number 2. Negative 5 times the quantity negative 2 minus 19. The first thing you're going to see me do is add a line and change the sign. Okay, so I added a line and I changed the sign. Now grab that negative 5 and draw a rainbow to the negative 2. Negative 5 times negative 2. I copy the addition sign and then grab the negative 5 and draw a rainbow to the negative 19. Negative 5 times negative 19. And now simplify. Negative 5 times negative 2 gives us 10. Copy the addition sign, and negative 5 times negative 19 gives us 95. And then 10 plus 95 would just be 105. Take a look at number 3. Grab your 2 and draw a rainbow to the x. So I have 2 times x, and then I'm going to copy that minus sign, and then grab the 2 and draw a rainbow to the 7. So 2 times 7. And I simplify a little bit. I have 2x, I copy the minus sign, and 2 times 7 is 14. Now remember, I can't go any farther because the 14 does not have an x, so I just boxed my answer. Take a look at this last example, number 4. I have negative 6 times the quantity t plus 15. So I'm going to grab the negative 6 and I draw a rainbow to the t. So I have negative 6 times t, then I copy the addition sign, and then negative 6 times 15. And so negative 6 times t gives me negative 6t. I copy the addition sign, and negative 6 times 15 gives me negative 90. And remember, I boxed my answer because the negative 90 does not have a t, so that's as far as I can go. So this is a chart of all the properties we've talked about so far, and this is really important. Make sure you mark this page because my kids last year used this a lot as we were studying for the state exams. So let's take a look real quickly. Commutative property changes the order of the numbers. So notice a plus b is the same as b plus a. Now it works for multiplication too. A times b is the same as b times a. The associative property, remember, that's when the parentheses move. Only the parentheses. So here, the parentheses were around the A and the B. And then on the other side of the equal sign, the parentheses moved, and they're around the B and the C. And that works the same in multiplication. The identity property, that's when we do not change the value of the number. So A plus 0 gives us A again. It didn't change. Or A times 1 gives us A again. It didn't change. That's the identity property. The inverse property is when two numbers destroy each other. So I could have A plus the opposite of A, and that makes 0. Now, we'll talk about this later, but I put it in the chart. A over 1 times 1 over A also destroys each other and makes a giant 1. And we'll talk about that later. The multiplication property of 0, well, any number times 0 gives you 0. So that's a great property to study. The closure property just means if we add two integers, we get an integer, or if we multiply two integers, we get an integer. The distributive property, that's important. That was today, the rainbows. So look at this example I added. If I had 3 on the outside times x plus 2, I would draw a rainbow. I grab the 3, draw a rainbow to the x. That gives me 3x. Then I copy the plus sign, grab the 3, draw a rainbow to the 2, and 3 times 2 gives me 6. 3x plus 6, and I can't go any farther because a 6 does not have an x.